Let's get the Big East road trip started. Thanks to the DePaul band and cheerleaders, and the Big East road trip continues. Our show starts when we come back. And our thanks to the DePaul band as we welcome you into Big East road trip, Big East Shootaround from Chicago, Illinois, McCormick Place, Wintrust Arena. The place to be tonight, where the Marquette Golden Eagles and DePaul Blue Demons will get together on the court in a matter of an hour or so. Casey Standahar, Johnny Soper, happy to be with you as we roll through the important headlines in the Big East Conference and take a look at the standings right now in the Big East, which is always tough, always competitive. Casey, what sticks out to you?
What sticks out to me, Johnny, is Marquette making their presence known, working their way up in the standings. tied with Villanova, both 4-3, just trying to win games. This is the tough grind of January basketball.
And like you say, winning is ultimately what matters most. And after a slow start, the Golden Eagles beginning to find their footing. Triple header tonight in the conference, but last night, couple of games of note. Creighton wins 85-78 over Xavier, and Butler a 90-66 win over Georgetown. Did you get a chance to watch? What'd you think?
How about that Creighton team?
Yeah.
They're just unstoppable. There's nothing that they can't do. It's crazy to see they outlasted Seton Hall in that triple overtime odyssey. A great game, and that was due in large part to Trey Alexander, who had another big night last night in their win. He put up 27 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. It's just a matter of time. This Greg McDermott team, I mean, what can't they do?
Absolutely. The state of the Big East right now, as we mentioned, always tough, always a grind, but who do you have your eye on? Who's hot right now in the conference?
Well, I just think you can't deny UConn. They lose once to open up against Seton Hall in conference play, and then they're winning the rest of the way through. So they're really a tough team to beat. So I know that's like the easy thing to say is UConn, but I like where Seton Hall is, I like where Creighton is, and I like UConn.
The defending national champions looking every bit the part. They were picked to finish third, by the way, at the beginning of the season in the preseason conference standings, so they are overachieving, you could say, to this point in the season, but you just never know. Any given night in this conference, especially if you're playing on the road, you're susceptible to a loss. Big news happening this week out of the DePaul program, a coaching change. It'll be Matt Brady the rest of the way for the Blue Demons, so they will see a different face on the sidelines tonight. Let's get into more of the matchup that's happening behind us. A regional rivalry, Marquette makes the hour or so drive down from Milwaukee. What sticks out?
Well, this is a chance for DePaul to make a new and try something different. Will it help them or hurt them? It's tough to know, but a change at the helm could be what this team needs, and maybe Matt Brady at the helm can help this DePaul team kind of pick up some steam. Johnny, they just haven't really found their rhythm yet, and that's something that DePaul needs, especially in this Midwestern showdown, right? It's going to be important here that they make a change and make it fast.
Marquette, one of the better teams over the last week and a half or so in the Big East after starting 2-3 in conference play. So it's a tall order for DePaul tonight. There'll be a lot of Marquette fans here as well. So the Blue Demons got a lot on their hands. Marquette's playing really good basketball. But I tell you what, we've got a really exciting interview. Mark Aguirre, one of the DePaul greats, all-time greats, will join us up here on the set. We'll have a chance to chat with a legend when the Big East road trip continues after this.
Fresh, warm hot dogs.
When I'm not selling hot dogs, I invest in a fund that advances innovations like robotics.
Fresh, warm hot dogs straight out of my torso. One for you, one for you. Oh, you're a messy one.
Cool, right? So cool.
Anyone can become an agent of innovation with Invesco QQQ, a fund that gives you access to NASDAQ 100 innovations.
Hot dogs. Fresh farm hot dogs.
Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risk, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
Electricity in the building because this is the big one. This is the Big East, folks.
Nothing's going to be easy.
How about that? Sold out Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball.
Listen to this building. It's absolutely rocking.
Cross court jams it down. Big fella. Champions of the Big East tournament.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. With Casey Standahar, I'm Johnny Soper. Pleased to be joined by a legend, #1 overall pick, 2-time NBA champion, college basketball Hall of Famer, but most importantly, DePaul Blue Demon, Mark Aguirre.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Good to see you,
Thanks
Mark.
a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Getting some love from the fans here outside Wintrust. Marquette and DePaul playing in just under an hour behind us. I want to start with this. You earlier, just at the end of 2023, were named a special assistant to the athletic director. I'm curious to know what interested you about that opportunity, and what does that role entail for you?
Well, that encompasses a lot of different things because Dwayne and I, and our president, they want to bump off me different ideas and what happens on the floor, how the relationship goes with the players, and then, because I'm from Chicago, how the communication, how the opportunity goes in our city. So I'm able to enlighten them on a few things that they might not have time to dig into, but it's very important. So it was great for me to be able to add that little piece, and then so far as the players, be able to understand that different players think different ways, and you have to understand how they move, how they think, and that allows you to understand how to play them, how to actually communicate with them. So, those little personal things, I think I add a little bit to that.
Sure. Casey?
I was going to ask you, Mark, what advice would you give this DePaul team tonight and going through the rest of this season? You've been through it. You've been here before. You have that level of experience. So what would you say to these players who are looking for more consistency?
Well, the big thing about understanding that it's not about you, and that in order to succeed in anything that you want to compete in, you have to understand one play is not about you. There's several different parts are involved in that play. And if you understand your part of it, it moves like a fine machine. And to recognize how fine that is, like when I look at the Connecticut team, I look at a well-oiled machine, and they move like that. So I try to get them to look at that and do your job, do your part.
Sure.
Do your part.
Can we talk about the good old days for a moment?
I didn't have any good old days.
Come on, I think you're selling yourself a little bit short.
Right.
Let's go back to 1979 when you were a freshman here at DePaul. Take me back. For someone who wasn't alive then, what was it like to be in that moment, to be on that team, and to accomplish what you guys accomplished?
Well, it's hard to actually explain. It was actually just a dream. I was a young kid, didn't know much about anything. Here at DePaul University, this incredible place and I'm playing for one of the most recognizable faces ever to be in the game. I'm playing for Ray Meyer.
Yeah.
So I'm in basketball wonderland at that point.
Heaven.
I'm there, and I grasped everything. He taught me everything. Matter of fact, I had to come from my last class to his office every day. And we went down in the basement we call our alumni hall. And I watched film of people that were before me. And it was just a dream to be able to do that. But in retrospect, now that I really look at it, the lessons that I learned by being in his presence, and here at DePaul, small school, but I was able to learn things that I may not have learned at any other school. So I was just in basketball heavy.
Yeah.
Plus, I was in Chicago. So,
Right. What lessons from him do you feel like helped shape your NBA career as well?
Well, you understand what Coach was about. He was totally about, first of all, you have to have a proper attitude, and you have to know what you're trying to do. Going out there just playing basketball is good, but he explained different things, and then he picked out different guys that were already in college, different guys were already in NBA, and it was so overwhelming. He would pick a move of different guys 5-7 years apart and ask me why did that work, or what was most important about that play, that screen. Okay, the screen was the most important, Coach. He said, yeah, you're understanding. And he taught me the little things about, how a team comes together and what's the importance of those things. So I learned an awful lot to be a freshman. I learned a lot.
I'm not going to lie, Mark. I was watching some vintage footage earlier today. Saw you do kind of a windmill over Hakeem Olajuwon. You think you still got it?
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna
Fair enough. DePaul legend Mark Aguirre. And from one legend to another when we come back, Doug Bruno, the Hall of Famer, head women's basketball coach at DePaul, joins us when the Big East road trip continues after this.
Great. Hey.
Saturday night, two legendary programs tip off on Fox Primetime Hoops. It's a rivalry renewed as Notre Dame battles 8th-ranked UConn. Rising star Hannah Hidalgo leads the Fighting Irish against one of the country's best, Paige Beckers and the Huskies,
Big-time maneuver.
who are ready to put on a show under the bright lights. Notre Dame, UConn, Saturday at 8 Eastern.
The biggest games are on Fox Primetime Hoops.
Chicago, another stop on the Big East road trip. We're getting closer to tip-off, just a few hours away on CBS Sports Network. The Big East is stacked this year with talent on the women's basketball side as well. And you can't mention Chicago basketball without mentioning a name like Doug Bruno, leading his alma mater, 38 seasons at the helm, 782 collegiate wins, 4 Sweet 16 appearances. I could go on and on. Doug Bruno, thanks for joining us with your team today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. You know, it's so good to see you. You were recently nominated for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Tell us more about what that honor was like for you.
It's always about the players. I've been blessed to coach with great bosses. Dwayne Peavy, Jill Hallenbeek are my bosses right now. Great assistant coach. Jill Pizzotti, Lisa Rakebush, and Candace Blakes, and a couple of them here tonight. But most of all, it's about great players and having special people that are special players. That's why any success we've had is always players. Any coach that has any success, it's because of the players.
I had a feeling you might say that. So let's talk about one of those players, Anaya Peoples, who's been a huge part of this team, and she's almost doubled her scoring output from a year ago. Tell me what makes her special. What has she done differently this year to increase the output?
Anaya is a very versatile player, and so she can play the game at a lot of different levels, a lot of different places. So I think her versatility is the key, and got great experience a year ago. So we're just thrilled to have her with us. Joriel and her are two returning players, and just about everybody else is kind of new here, but we're excited about them all.
Yeah.
Coach, a tougher start to the season so far. What have you liked about your team's efforts to try to get back up in the standings this year?
This has just been a great group of young women to coach, and they just care about each other. They care about working hard. They're a joy to be around every single day. And yet, on the court, we're still very young. Even though we have 23-year-olds, 6 23-year-olds and 6 or 7 18-year-olds, we're still very young to ourselves. So it's been a work in progress, and I feel like we're getting better every day.
What's your read on the conference so far?
UConn is a very good basketball team, and they're down 2 players, and they're still, I think, will make a run at the national championship. Marquette and Creighton have put themselves in position to be in that 2nd and 3rd spot, and I think the rest of the league, everybody can beat everybody.
Yep.
That's why our game tomorrow night against St. John's here is going to be a huge classic Big East battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, ladies, what can we expect tomorrow? Big matchup.
We're going to play really hard. We know what we have to do. Like Coach said, we're fairly new to each other, but we're slowly coming together, and just going to keep competing every step of the way.
Thank you.
How important are these next 2 home games for your group?
Well, every game's important, but these 2 are very important. I think we're sitting here at 10-10 midway through the season, and we could still make a great run to a postseason tournament bid, and that's the goal right now. But you still have to stay in the moment, stay in the present. So we just really have to focus on a very good St. John's team that's coming in here with some momentum themselves. It's going to be a great game tomorrow night.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, ladies.
Wait 1 second.
Oh, you have another question.
Well, Coach and I talked in October.
Sure.
And we talked about your love of football, particularly the Chicago Bear. I cannot let you go without asking what is maybe one of the most interesting questions in sports right now. Do the Bears draft Caleb Williams, or are they trading the number 1 pick and keeping Justin Fields?
If I'm the Bears, I'm keeping Justin and drafting a quarterback.
There you go.
And drafting a quarterback.
The fans like it. They like it. Doug Bruno, thank you so much. Ladies, thank
Thanks,
you so much.
Coach.
Good luck tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back with more of the Big East Road Trip Shoot-Around in just a bit.
The world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. 11 teams came to New York City with one thing on their mind, a Big East title.
We've got ourselves a knockdown, drag-out battle in the Big East tournament. Dropping dimes.
Old school basketball.
You got to be strong. Madison Square Garden.
Our thanks to the DePaul band and cheerleaders for providing entertainment for the folks here who are getting set to head into Wintrust Arena nearly a half hour until tip-off between Marquette and DePaul. Johnny Soper, Casey Standahar. All right, Casey, let's bring it home, and we'll start with the fan sweepstakes, folks. You can enter to win at the link on the screen for a chance to win tickets to your choice of the men's tournament at Madison Square Garden or the women's basketball tournament at Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Let's talk more about what's going to happen behind us in about a half hour, particularly players to watch. Who do you got your eye on?
You got to look at Marquette forward Oso Ighodaro. He's averaging 13.9 points per game, almost 7 boards per game. He really is a great player on the offensive side and the defensive side. Between him and Cam Jones, I do believe Marquette can get this done tonight. I know Cam Jones is scoring more points per game, but I like the rate at which Ighodaro is rebounding as well. That's huge.
I look at a guy like Jeremiah Oden, and it has nothing to do with X's and O's. Here's why. He's a local kid. His parents both went to DePaul. His dad played on the basketball team for a couple of seasons. I just think at this point, you have to have a leader in the locker room. You have to have somebody who can galvanize the team, and I think he's got to be that guy. So whatever voice he's had this season, he's got to take it up just one step more and see what happens.
Right. That unsung hero mentality could come in clutch for this DePaul team. Again, they're facing a lot of changes, new leadership, so they've got a lot of work to do still, but you're right. It's players like that who can step up, be a leader in the locker room, off the court, whatever it might be, to try to turn things around for this Blue Demons team.
Went to St. Rita High School, about 13 miles south of here, so he knows what it's like, and he can rally this team, I think. Keys to the game. Let's start with Tyler Kolek and Marquette.
Tyler Kolek and Marquette have to do what they need to do. You mentioned it earlier. They have to be able to rebound. They have to be able to shoot points, score points, and just be calm leaders on the floor. I think that's really important.
Tyler Kolek had a rough start to conference play, but he has been every bit the last 2 games like the All-American guard that we know he can be. How about for DePaul?
DePaul has to play an entire full game, a complete game. They lose their stamina a little bit, so I'd be interested to see how they can kind of recover after halftime, struggling a bit there. Just playing a complete game and putting together the entire time would be important for DePaul.
Going back to what I said about Jeremiah a moment ago, I think at this point it comes down to pride. You're playing for the name on the front of the jersey, and that locker room has to get together and look at one another and trust each other and say, it's up to us, because let's face it, they bear some responsibility for what's happened here too.
Sure.
So they've got to step up. I think that they have to get it right from the get-go, and it starts with what happens in that locker room, that core nucleus of the team. Play inspired, play fast. I think if they want to make noise in this particular game, you have to win the small battles. You have to win the turnover margin. You have to rebound the ball. Those games within the game, it sounds like a cliche, but you got to start there and then see what happens. This is a very, very talented Marquette team. They've got more talent on their roster. There's just no doubt about that.
Sure.
So you got to win those little battles. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got
it's
to
like
talk
what
to
Mark said too. You think about the fact that, talking to Mark, you think about the fact that each player has their own specific role and has to kind of come in and work that into a team effort.
Tip-off is just moments away. We're going to pick some of the games, too. Providence and Seton Hall are in progress, actually, as we speak. And the Pirates currently ahead 51-43. A sneaky good team this year in the conference. I'm not sure anyone thought they'd be playing as well as they have. But how about the other games that are happening tonight? Let's start with Villanova and St. John's. Your thoughts?
Well, I like Villanova over St. John's. I just think Nova is due for another win. I think they have what it takes to bounce back off of some of the struggles that they've had. So I take Nova here.
7:30 Eastern tip at Madison Square Garden. Rick Pitino's team, I mentioned it last week. They lack that signature win. Don't know if beating Villanova checks that box per se, but I like the Johnnies at home. And is Pitino back? Do we know? We're not sure. I know he's been out with COVID recently. So if he's back on the sidelines, even more,
right.
Yes. And then how about the nightcap? happening at Wintrust Arena here?
Well, you know, I hate saying this in front of all these amazing DePaul fans, and I would like to see them get a W tonight, but I think if I'm being realistic, I'm taking Marquette in this one, if I'm a betting woman.
And I agree. Tip-off is in a matter of a half hour. We're going to head inside to Wintrust Arena. It's Marquette and DePaul, a great Midwestern rivalry here in the Windy City. Thanks for being with us on the Big East Road Show.